Okay. It says we are live. So let's see. I don't have my laptop with me today, so I can't see yet if anybody has shown up. So
See,
we'll
I'm gonna
give it a minute.
join. I'm going to join the chat, the YouTube.
Okay. Okay. The cat would like to be involved.
Yeah, he is. He's short-haired, but he loses
Mhm.
so much hair, and it just gets all over you. So I can't, like, I cannot have
Oh,
him on me because then I get allergies. It's like, hey, in
oh,
order for
yeah.
me to own you, you have to not climb all over me. It's like it's okay if he's sitting back here, but when he's on me,
Yeah.
his fur just gets everywhere, and I start having like just sneezing fits.
Yeah. Hi, Amy. I was just talking about you. All good things. I was just saying that you were going to be joining us today.
Yeah, I see Amy Bowman on the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Amy.
Uh, just talking up your channel, Amy. So, we're just
So,
giving it a
what
couple
have you been
minutes.
up to, Rainey? Because it seems like we were talking earlier. Feels like it's been so long since I've
I
talked to
know.
you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I guess well, it hasn't been because even though we took a month off, we still had Mitford. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't
And maybe it's because we haven't been
know.
talking very much on Instagram. Like, I feel like we usually chat a
Maybe.
little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I haven't talked to many people just like outside of the things that I do with them,
Right.
recently. So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I'm not like super busy or anything.
Yeah. No, neither am I. I
No.
think that must be it. I'm
No.
just not talking to the people who I regularly like chat with on Instagram.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
I've been slacking on booktube. Like I'm not watching as
Okay.
much as I would like to.
Hmm. You're just in post school mode where your brain has just shut off and you're not doing anything.
I think so, which I need to turn it back on because I need to get stuff ready for the upcoming school year. So I need to start working on
Well, that's true.
lesson plans and lessons. Yeah, so I need to
Yeah.
turn my brain back on. Hi, Casey.
Hi, Kissy. Hello. Are you going back to the same school as last year? Because I know you were
Yes.
talking about maybe. Okay. So
Yeah, I
same grade
am.
and
I would.
everything.
What's that? Same grade. Yeah, everything's
Same
the same.
grade.
I
Okay.
I really like obviously I didn't want it enough since I didn't apply, but I really wanted
Oh.
to um teach at this charter school that was opening up
Mm,
not too far, like it's still in my area, but by
mhm,
the time I actually started the application process, it was
mhm,
already May, and by that point when I looked back on their open positions, um there was
mhm.
only one position available and it wasn't one that I wanted. I think it was like a fourth grade
Okay.
math or fifth grade math. And so
Oh.
I'm like, well, I waited too long, so now
No.
I'm gonna stay
No.
where I am.
No. There's always next year. You never know, something might come up in the middle of the year if you really want it. No.
Yeah, I've actually been talking to this woman on Twitter who has her own micro school. And so it's
Oh.
she basically teaches out of her home. I think she teaches four
Mhm.
kids. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
homeschool, but
Hmm.
she's not their parent.
Yeah.
She's a teacher, a
Uh-huh.
certified teacher, and she's been
Hmm.
hired by these families to teach their kids. So she
Huh.
actually wants to. She's here in Texas, and she wants to start
Mhm.
uh, franchises in other areas of
Yeah.
Texas. So I contacted her. And I mean, I think
Mhm.
it'll be too late for this school year, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping maybe something, especially now with like,
Yeah.
there's such a big, I think, like exodus of families leaving
Mhm.
public schools for many different
Yep.
reasons. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I think that's. a lot of families are looking for to get their kids out of public schools. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't have kids, so I don't really know that much about it, but it just seems like there's a lot of people that are like, you know what, I don't really need my kid to go to an actual school because they did okay when,
hmm
for
yeah, and
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's
I've
a
been a
lot that
public school
didn't.
teacher for
But,
8 years. This is going to be my ninth year,
mhm.
and honestly, I don't blame parents for wanting to take their kids out of
Yeah,
public school.
yeah, me neither, really. I mean, I know enough teachers and and enough parents at this point that I'm like, yeah,
hmm
maybe homeschool doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Jessica. Hi, Christy. Hello.
Hi, Christy.
Mhm.
Hi,
Oh, I made a
Jessica.
banner. Let's
Oh,
see. I
good.
made a banner for chatty time. Or actually, it was already in there from like the last time I did anything. So
Amy, are you a
that seems
teacher?
really big. Oh, yes, she is. I forget what
Is she?
grade though.
Oh, you did say, right? You did
Yeah.
say she was a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
I don't know if
teach,
it's middle
Amy?
school. No.
English? You said language arts, English language arts?
No. Yeah, that's what I thought she said. Yeah, but it's not sure. But
When I
oh,
was
we
in
didn't
high
come up
school,
with
I
like
thought
a
I wanted
chatty
to teach
question.
I,
Oh,
I
go
thought I
ahead.
wanted to
Sorry.
teach high school English,
Mm,
but no. Once I
yeah.
started teaching, I thought, no, 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 no. High schoolers and middle schoolers and we would not get along.
No. Somehow, yeah, I don't think that would work for me either. I was an English major, but I did not take the teaching side of it because I was just like, no, I don't really need to deal with kids. I
Yeah.
dealing with adults is enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so Amy says she teaches 5th through 8th grade language arts and maybe adding social studies this year.
Ooh,
I love teaching social studies.
interesting.
I'm a 3rd grade teacher and I'm self-contained, so I teach all subjects, but I love teaching social studies. It's actually the
Hmm.
one subject that we're supposed to like move to the back burner. And
Oh,
if we get
really?
to it, we get to it. Yeah, because we have to focus on math and reading. But I
Oh, well,
teach
yeah.
social studies. I actually teach more history than social studies just because I
Mm,
love history and yeah. So
yeah. And I feel like that can tie, obviously, that can tie into reading. If you can kind of work it into your
yeah,
theme or whatever for the month. Yeah.
and that's what a lot of
So,
teachers do. They'll integrate it into reading. Same thing
mhm.
with science. They'll integrate it into reading.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a good way to go back. I know a lot of homeschool parents that do that. They'll basically like come up with a theme for a week or so to like
hmm
put every subject that they can
Yeah.
into that theme to kind of keep the kids interested, I guess.
See, that's why I wanted to teach like pre-K or kindergarten because I love the idea of doing like units. Like this week
Uh-huh.
we have an apple unit and
Yeah.
everything is apple related. Or this
Mm.
week we're studying rainbows and everything is rainbow related.
Yeah. That would be fun.
I mean, I don't know if that's the way pre-K and K still are run, but that's
Yeah.
my idea.
My one of my best friends in real life best friend teaches well, she was teaching first grade and that was pretty much how it went. This year she's being moved to second grade, so she's kind of freaking out about that because she says, and even though it's only a year difference, she's like, I've been teaching first grade for almost 10 years and I have all my stuff piled up for that. And now I have to
Yeah.
go to something completely different.
What is she teaching now? What will she be teaching?
She's kind of all things like she teaches first grade. So like around here, it's you teach everything. Um,
Is she
self
is she
self
moving to
contained,
second?
like you said. Yeah, she's moving to second.
Okay.
So, but it's here. It's like through. I think it's like fifth grade is your last year where your one teacher teaches everything, and then when you go into sixth grade, it
Uh-huh.
used to be. It used to be when I was in school that fifth and sixth grade were still considered elementary for us, but we would move from different classes just to kind of get us ready for high school and moving every class,
Yeah.
so, but they've since like restructured everything. So now kind of sixth grade has been put into the junior high kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there's a lot more of that now for the sixth graders that they have to change classes and everything. But oh, I'm behind on chattiness. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. Yeah, Jessica says social studies, history were her favorite subjects. I really liked
That's one of
reading.
mine
Like,
too. Yeah.
yeah, I throughout, like from the time I was first grade through a senior in high school, I loved anything that was a reading class, English,
Hmm.
high school English. But then I also did like social studies.
Yeah. Those two for me were like the most similar to each other, obviously, because there wasn't math and science involved. So those were not my
Yeah,
favorite subjects.
I I liked science, anything that had to deal with like biology, but anything other
Hmm.
outside of that, like chemistry, ooh,
Ugh,
my
ugh.
brain does not understand
No,
chemistry. Yeah, I,
nope.
I
One of my best guy friends, who I was kind of in love with for a while, whatever. That was a major fail on my part, but he was a chemistry teacher. And like, so we were friends for like 15 years, and he'd try to tell me things. I was like, no, I don't care. I don't care about what you teach. Just leave me alone. Let's just talk about theater. That's something that we both like. Just let's just talk about
yeah,
theater.
like with chemistry, as long as things are working the way they need to be working, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I don't care about it. Like, I'm glad there are people in the world who do care about that kind of thing, but that is not my gift. God did not grace me with a brain for science or math. I'm pretty sure. Isn't there a dyslexia that is only numbers? I don't know. Like I've never been tested for that, but I kind of feel like I have number dyslexia because I'll even just like say a phone number or something, and I'll get the phone numbers all mixed up.
Uh-huh.
Like I'll be looking at it, like I'll be looking at it, and I'll say it wrong. So
I, I'm not sure. Maybe Amy might know. I know, like, and the students
yeah.
that I've had who've had dyslexia, have
Hmm.
struggled both in reading and math. Although math has always been easier for them. Although
Okay.
anytime we have to do things where there's a lot of numbers, like when we're working with
Hmm.
place value and we have to do expanded form or expanded notation, all of that stuff
Hmm.
can confuse them, but they tend to perform better in math than in reading. Now, I have a math learning disability that I was diagnosed with
Okay.
in college. I could not pass college algebra. I couldn't, like, when I
Okay.
went to college, I tested to see um, what math class I needed to be in, and I was like in
Hmm.
basic algebra, basic math. I started off with basic math, so I had 3 semesters of like basic math, and then after
Hmm.
on the fourth semester, I was going to move on to college algebra, and I
Hmm.
could not pass basic college algebra. I took it so many semesters, and I just kept
Hmm.
failing. So it's like I would register for the class, and I would fail it. I would register, I
Hmm.
would take the class, I would fail it. It just happened, and I needed that class to graduate. And so then once
Hmm.
I moved, I went from the community college that I was at. Once I went to the university uh, that I was graduated from, my advisor, she's like, you have taken this class so many times. At that point, I honestly think I've taken it at least 7 times. Um,
Oh
and
wow.
she said, and you keep failing it. She goes, so let's test you to see if you have a learning disability. So I went to this
Hmm.
place where the guy was either like a psychologist or a therapist. He was some sort of like psychology. I don't know. I was really surprised that I was going to his office to take this IQ test, which is basically what it was. And so he
Hmm.
tested me on a bunch of things like reading, uh, math, logic. general knowledge, and I scored really high on everything. But I struggled with like putting puzzles together. I struggled with that.
Okay.
And I did okay on I did fine on math. I was tested on addition, subtraction, division. I did fine with that, but it was like puzzles. I could not figure out puzzles. And that the whole test somehow showed that I had a math learning disability. And so I was able to test out of college algebra.
Oh. Huh. Interesting. Wonder. I'm reading Amy's comment about dyslexia. So yeah, I've never actually been tested for it. So I mean, I know I don't have like regular dyslexia, if that's what it can be called. But yeah. But I was also like a really slow, well, I still am a slow reader because whatever that's called, there's a word for it, but I have to say every word. So like in my head, I say it like I would if I was talking it out. And I can skim a little bit, but it's not as good. But yeah, like the numbers thing, like somebody once told me like something about numeric dyslexia or something like that. I was like, oh, I wonder if I actually have that. But that also may just be my excuse for being bad at math. I don't know.
How well do you do on puzzles? Like not jigsaw puzzles, but like where you have to put pieces together, like figure out how to get pieces to match. And
yeah,
I know there's a lot
like
of
a Tetris type of a thing.
Kind of, although I'm really good at Tetris. I'm really
okay.
I can do really well on Tetris, but this is more like where you don't have you don't have like a template. So you just have these shapes and you have to like create this other shape. So you get these almost like what do you tangrams? Is it tangrams? But more complicated than that. So you have this shape that you have to recreate using all these other shapes, things like that. There are a lot of games. Yeah, see,
but,
I'm horrible at those. Any games where or like apps, even apps where you have to figure out a pattern, like a complicated pattern, that I can't do. I can do simple patterns like 1 2 1 2 or A B B A B B, but very complicated patterns and puzzles, my brain just shuts off.
I don't know. I have to do a self-test someday and see. That'd be not that I have to do algebra anymore, but it would just be interesting to know because my dad is really good at math, and I just feel like I got everything else that is like my dad. Why couldn't I get the math skills?
Yeah,
because he's one of those people that can just like tell you the sum of something like in a couple seconds, and I'm like, I have no idea.
yeah, well, it took me a long time to memorize multiplication facts. I remember being in 6th grade and my 6th grade math teacher tutoring me after school because I could not memorize multiplication facts. So, were you able to memorize multiplication facts pretty easily?
I think so, but I'm not sure. I don't remember way back then, but like I'm just a good memorizer. I'm pretty good at like reading through something a couple of times and being able to recite it back. But I don't know if that was like actually learning those facts or if it was just memorizing what I was supposed to say.
Well, I think once you memorize them, you've got them.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so Amy has said, she said, it bugs me that social studies and science are on the back burner because studies show that reading comprehension is being harmed by the lack of background info they get from those subjects. Yeah, that's why I still teach. Yeah, I still teach science and social studies up until I realize, okay, now I have to start cramming for math and reading the state testing that's coming up.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So since we're talking about school, my question, Rainey, is did you have any elementary school crushes or middle school crushes, and
Oh yes, very many. I've had okay, so in kindergarten, I had a little boyfriend, and he would help me on with my coat at the end of the day. I think I actually had two little boyfriends in kindergarten. I don't remember the other guy.
two.
I don't know why I was. Yeah, he was apparently not that big of a deal, but the one that helped me on with my jacket, we were a thing. And then in second grade, I had a for real boyfriend. Well, I mean, as for real as it could be in
Right.
second grade. Like we actually discussed it and and dated. And
They're at school
that went
only,
on,
right? You did.
well, pretty much, yeah. It was like we'd walk down the hall, maybe holding hands every once in a while. That was our
Aw,
date.
that's cute.
But it went on for a lot of years, actually. Like we were basically dating until we got to junior high, and then we realized, or at least I realized, that I really wasn't that attracted to him anymore. Like, because I actually could be attracted to a guy at that point. And I was like, I mean, you're nice, but I just like, I mean, do we have anything in common? Not really.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, you grow up,
yeah,
what's the word? Uh
expand your horizons.
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of time
But
between second grade and middle
yeah,
school.
we used to go to like church dances together, and
Oh,
like,
that's
I mean,
cute.
my mom would drive us, and and then let's see what else. That was basically it. We would go to like, not that there were a lot of dances in elementary school, but like anytime there was some kind of a function, it was like we were a thing. He did come over to my house a couple of times. Uh, but yeah, that was about the extent of it. So, he was
Hmm.
my first boyfriend.
And when
But
did
then
you guys
after
break
that, it
up?
was, oh,
When did you
seventh
break up
grade.
with him? Seventh grade. Yeah.
Seventh grade. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
you grew
actually sure
apart.
if it was me or him. Yeah. I think it was me that broke up with him because I felt bad because he bought me like a present for Christmas or my birthday or something. But I broke up with him before that. And I think he said something about having bought me a gift. And I was like,
Oh,
I don't-
was trying to make you feel guilty.
yeah, it did. It made me feel guilty. But I was just like, I don't know. Do you really want to date me? And he's like, well, no, I guess not. It's like we actually could date now. Do you really want to date me? I'm like, probably not. And weirdly, I didn't take offense to that. So,
So, did
uh,
you see him? Would you see him like the rest of your middle school,
yeah,
junior high, and high school
mhm.
years?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we were still friends because I think like the older we got, the more we realized like, was that a real relationship? Not
Right.
really, So we were just kind of friend. We were friendly, but we didn't end up like being in the same circles eventually.
Hmm.
So yeah, it wasn't really, we didn't, I don't really remember seeing him too often after we left like junior high. But whenever I did, I was nice to him. Like we weren't like, oh, I can't talk to him. We had such a bad breakup in sixth grade.
So it was
So
amicable.
yeah, I mean, he was a little bit upset with me, but I mean, he got over it pretty quick.
Yeah.
What about you?
I had my first crush in kindergarten. His name was Eric,
Mhm.
and it was love at first sight for me. I loved Eric and his little blonde head. And
Aw.
I had a crush on him all through probably my senior year of high school. He moved away in after sixth grade. So right before seventh grade, he moved away. We never dated. Oh, but how I loved him. I loved him so much. And then when he moved away, it just broke my heart. And I think that's where like
Uh,
my whole angsty uh relationship with love came started. And so yeah, he moved away
oh
to the
no.
neighboring town. So I would still see him, but of course, I mean, we had no contact anymore. And I remember we had a newspaper. The area where I lived in Illinois was so small that all of the high schools had a newspaper where every school had its own like little section. It was called the
Okay.
Teen Tribune. And so the different uh, students from each school would contribute articles, and then it would be published once a week, and it would be in the local newspaper, which was the area newspaper. And so I would
Mhm.
always flip to their high school to see what if there were any articles about him, because he was a basketball player and a baseball
Oh,
player. So
okay.
there were always articles, and I would clip everything that I could get my hands on about him. And I remember folding those little articles very securely and sticking them in my little music box that was like the area where I
Oh,
like put my valuables. And yeah, and then
yeah.
I moved away from the area. My after my sophomore year of high school, I moved from Illinois to Texas, and I still kept my
Mm.
eye on on anything related to him. And then by the time I graduated, I think at that point it was like the love was not nurtured, so
Yeah, right.
it just
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
So he
It's
was
usually
my
how it
one and
goes. This
only
times.
crush from kindergarten through 12th grade. But yes, I
Wow.
loved him. Ugh,
Wow. That was true love. That's you should look
I
him up
think
again if you
so.
see if he's maybe maybe that was, it's meant to be somewhere. Maybe he's somewhere pining after you. Maybe.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think he gave me much. I do have to say, I do remember a very nice compliment he gave me when
Mm,
we were in science class. It was fifth grade science class, I think, and we were supposed to read aloud from the textbook. And I remember our science teacher said, "Who should read aloud? Who should read this? Who should read aloud from this part?" And I remember
mm.
one student was like, "This girl, because she's a good reader." And then Eric, the love of my life, said, "No, Angie needs to read because she's the best reader."
Oh.
I
Oh.
am the best reader, and thank you for noticing. And that was pretty much the only compliment he ever gave me, but it has remained
Well,
in my heart
hey, that's enough.
these
Yeah.
these
You
30 years later.
you remembered it. Yeah. You remembered it. It was a compliment to your reading. So
Yes.
that's that's pretty good. That's a pretty good compliment. Amy had a similar experience to both of us actually, since her boyfriend moved away.
Hmm.
Isn't that isn't that mean that parents do that to you when you're in love and they just take away your boyfriend with no thought to the fact that that was your soulmate and
No
you're
regard. Yeah.
obviously going to get married someday. Yeah, they just take them away.
That could have been
That
that could have
happened with
been
a few of my crushes.
yeah, like that could have been
Yeah.
our husband.
Yeah. Jeez. Jeez, mom.
Like
I mean, I've
he
lived
didn't
here my whole life, but
what's that?
uh, I said I've lived in my town my whole life, but
Uh,
many of the boys that I had a crush on, their parents moved them
m-
away from
Move
me.
them away.
So, yeah, but sad. Because, I mean, probably even when I was dating my little boyfriend, I probably still had crushes on other boys. Because
No,
that's just the
see,
way I was.
I
Yeah.
was faithful. I was faithful in my
Excuse
crush.
me. I probably was actually, because I can't really think of
I only had
anybody.
eyes for Eric.
Yeah.
And even once I got into college, I still was really attracted to blondes. And I
Mhm.
liked
Okay.
blonde men for the longest time. And then eventually it was like, No, I think now I like dark-haired men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I ever, well, yeah, for the longest time I liked, well, and this is probably more towards adult, but um I liked Asian men for a long time. I mean, I'm not like, I don't really have a type now. Like, just anybody that likes me and has a and like actually likes me back, I'll give them, unless, I mean, there's some that I don't have. Uh, like, there's some kind of like attraction type things that I would not like, but we won't go into that because that could offend some people. but but yeah, it's just mostly for me. It's like, do you like me? Oh, okay. Well, let's talk. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, my
Because my
type is.
ex, oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say because my ex was not what I would have previously said was my type. So, but it was just basically that like he actually gave me attention, and
Mm-hmm.
like his personality eventually won me over more than like not to say like he wasn't unattractive, but like more than his like physical appearance, his
Yeah.
personality and the fact that he actually liked me won me
Well,
over. So,
I think that's the difference between men and women, though, right? Don't you? Wouldn't you say? I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe I'm generalizing. Like when I was probably 19, my freshman year in college, I was working at a grocery store as a pharmacy technician, and there was a
Mm,
guy who was also, I think he was maybe a year older. I think he might have been like 19, who also worked there at the grocery store, except he worked customer service. So he worked customer service and I worked the pharmacy. So we were like right next to each other. And when I
mm,
first met him, I like, there was nothing. Like he was just another coworker. But since we worked so near each other, so our departments were right next to each other, I got to see him a lot and I got
mm,
to learn his personality. And he was just such a nice, sweet, funny guy. Like
mm,
everything he did was just hilarious, but not in a clown, obnoxious way. He just had this
right.
really witty sense of humor, and he would
Mm,
make me laugh all the time. And eventually,
uh,
it's like I started crushing really hard on him. Like I would
mm,
have dated him had he asked me out because I just started really, I was very attracted to him because of his personality.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he was Mormon, so he couldn't date me. Not that
Oh,
he would have dated me even had I been Mormon. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
But and yeah, and then he left to go do his mission trip or whatever it is that they have to do. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was the end of that. And now I've seen him now, like, what is it, 20 years later, and I'm like,
Mm.
wow, he's definitely not attractive, not physically attractive, like, but
Oh
I
no.
I really I thought he was
Yeah.
gorgeous after I got to know him, but
Mm. Oh yeah. Like I think that that is. I mean, and of course, yes, it's generalizing to say that every woman is this way or every guy is this way. But
right,
I think
right,
in general, it's like women maybe will be initially attracted to somebody, but like it'll be solidified in your personality. And I mean,
right,
I can't say either way about a guy because I'm not a guy. I don't know. But
right,
it
yeah,
seems like maybe men will like make their decisions, their initial decisions anyway, based off of what they see, based off more than a girl will, maybe. I don't know.
right.
That's
I mean, that's
that's
my opinion. I kind of feel like men will decide whether they're going to give you a chance just immediately based on how you look, whereas not all
right.
women, but I think women will sometimes um, give a man a chance,
Hmm.
and then definitely
Even if they're
if their
not like,
personality, what's that?
yeah. Yeah, like even if they're not like physically attracted to them, they're like, oh,
Right,
they're
like
nice. So,
I
maybe.
might not be
Yeah.
physically attracted to you, but I'm going to give you a chance. And if we
Yeah.
just don't jibe, like there's no chemistry, then yeah, then that's it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, well, we've been talking for 35 minutes, so maybe we should move on to the
Definitely
actual
need to
book.
talk about the book.
So,
yeah.
Yes. So let me change my banner to. Oh, look, there we go. We have a banner. Oh, but I'm doing something wrong. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're back. Okay. So, what did you think of this book?
For me, it was kind of like a Hallmark movie. Hallmark movies are movies that I can take them or I can leave them. Most of them to me are like very average, and there have been just a couple of Hallmark movies that I really enjoy, and that was kind of like what this book was like. It was very Hallmark, very average. Like I felt like the romance was very average, the writing was very average. I didn't feel swept away, which is what I want in a
Yeah.
romance. And I don't know, I get that romances, that's just fiction. You're not always going to be swept away in a romance. But when I'm reading about romance in a book, I want to feel swept away and charmed by the characters. And I just felt like it was very, very normal, very average. I didn't feel like the characters had, great personalities. Not that they were horrible people. They just were very average. It was just very average. So I ended up giving it a 3-star rating, which I felt was like a little generous. I think I might have I think if I were being really honest, it would have been just like, it was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't. I wasn't swept away.
Yeah.
What about you?
That makes sense. I liked it, but I can see what you're saying. Like there wasn't being that it was a Christmas book. I didn't really feel the Christmas vibe, I guess. And there was something that I was reading. I can't even remember what it was now, but it was like there was a lot of. Oh, Betsy Tacy. I was reading Betsy in Spite of Herself, and there's always a Christmas scene in those books. And I got way more holiday vibes and like coziness from reading that chapter than I did from anything holiday-esque in this book. So that was like the one thing that I was like, nah, that was a little bit, like not that intriguing, but I don't know that I necessarily ever would have thought of that if I hadn't read that chapter in Betsy Tacy prior to, because I'm not really one that's like, oh, I'm getting so many, holiday vibes from this book. Like I'm not usually like that, but in this one, but in like the Betsy Tacy book that I read, she was visiting a character that has German roots and stuff. So it was very like there was a lot of German traditions and stuff that they were talking about for and I was just like, oh, this is really like I can really see this. And I just I didn't really feel like I saw it in this book.
Yeah.
But I liked the grandma character. I liked Winnie.
Yeah.
I liked Ethan because I thought, was that his name? Ethan. Now that I'm thinking that, I'm like, was that his actual name? I think it was the main guy character.
The main guy? His name?
Yeah, I think it was Ethan, right?
Ethan,
the main
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and I liked him, and I liked all the characters. They were good, and I thought they were very cozy. And like Amy saying that she thought it scratched an itch that she was looking for, and I kind of felt like that too. Like it was maybe just like average, but it wasn't bad by any means. The writing was good. It might not have been spectacular, but it was good. So let me see what she. Here, I'll put it up. Thingy. Since I thought Ethan was
I agree with that.
set up in this. Yeah, I thought so too. Like at the very, very beginning, he came across as very villainy. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a hate to love. And I guess it was a hate to love, but I feel like he switched it off pretty quickly to where he was just like a nice guy that just didn't want to see his grandma like run down, that from trying to take care of the house. And I guess I kind of liked that because I didn't want him to be such a jerk. So
Yeah, well, I did feel like they made him sound worse, or who's the girl? I don't remember the girl's name.
Abby.
The main character.
Abby.
I thought she made him sound like she built him up in her mind to be this cruel grandson when he really wasn't. Like, she's like, he wants to send his grandmother to an assisted living home, or what, he wants to get her out of his hair, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just from like the first time you meet him, it's like, no, I'm just worried about her. There's nobody here to watch her, and I'm afraid, she needs to be taken care of. She's liable to fall again. And so, yeah, I just thought that kind of seemed unnecessary, the whole building him up to be this cruel man. And it was like, no, she needs someone to take care of her.
Although I do think at the very beginning, he did kind of come off that way. So I guess like I can see that as being like her first impression. And then maybe too, just from what she'd heard from Lucy, the sister, and how he would like he might have been kind of trying to get her to side with him, that maybe she was a little bit more irritated with him. So she maybe kind of put that in Abby's head, because I can see that happening, because a similar situation has been happening in my family.
Yeah.
So
to me, I just thought that was, I kind of saw that more as a failing on the author's part. Like, she wanted to show that he was this cruel guy, and so she wrote him off like that. She wrote him like that, and then in like the next encounter, it was like everything was fine. So I just kind of thought that was a failing on the author's part, where she wanted to build this tension that really wasn't there. So she's like, okay, well, let me build him up like this, and their first encounter is going to be awkward, and then like the second encounter, everything's fine. I don't know. I just there was kind of like a disconnect for me.
Yeah, I do think that you're right in that it ended too quickly. I think he could have been a little grumpier for a little longer to kind of give off that villain vibe.
That would have worked better for me. That would have worked better had the author made him like a grumpy guy for a little while. Like, make him grumpy and make their first few encounters awkward, because maybe he doesn't want her there, or he doesn't think that's the best thing for his grandmother. And then she can maybe show, look, I am valuable. I am here to help your grandmother.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think she could have spent a little bit more time, but yeah, I agree. Like this thing that Amy's talking about, the first kiss, and she's like, I didn't feel a hint of nausea. I did think that was really funny. Some of those first kiss experiences, man, they leave a lot to be desired. Like the one guy, like, not that I've had that many first kiss experiences. There's probably been like 3 in my entire life. And one of them, he was going in for a French kiss. I was going in for like a, hey, I just met you and I'm letting you kiss me. So like a regular, like Victorian kiss. And he puts his entire mouth around my mouth. And like my lips are like clamped shut. And he's trying to get his sluggy little tongue into my mouth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? So yeah, that was like my first bad kiss experience. So I was like really nervous for any other kiss I ever had.
That was your first experience, you said?
Yeah. I mean, that might have even been, I guess that wasn't my first kiss, but it was like my first like guy trying to get his tongue in my mouth kind of kiss.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, we're never doing that again. Yeah, that was a situation.
That was what a description.
Oh yeah.
Bye, Christine.
Oh my. Oh yeah. No, I waved to her earlier. Oh yeah, that was something. It was in broad daylight at a mini golf place too. I thought I was getting attacked.
Well, I wonder what the other people watching you guys were thinking. Oh my gosh.
Well, what's funny is it was a online dating, like first meeting kind of a thing. So back in the day, I would tell my parents when I was going on a blind date, and so they were actually sitting across the street,
Oh no.
like trying to, make sure that I was like gonna get in my car okay. And to me, it felt like an eternity that I was like trying to get this guy off of me. And I get in the car and I'm like trying to wipe a spit off my face and try not to be like embarrassing towards him, because I was like, obviously we just had a miscommunication. He wasn't trying to like attack me or whatever.
Mhm.
He's just weird. And so I'm like
He's just
bending down in my car, like doing this. And so like, and I knew they were over there. I knew that my parents were sitting in the parking lot across the street. So I get on the phone and I was like, did you just see what happened? And my mom's like, what? It looked like he went in to hug you and it was really fast. And then you like got in your car really quick. I was like, really? It felt like an eternity. I thought Dad was going to have to come and save me.
I guess they were far enough away that they didn't see the details.
Yeah. And it probably did not last as long as it felt. It was probably very quick, but
Yeah, no,
very long.
yeah, when you're in the moment, when you're the one experiencing it, it feels very long.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting first date experience. Okay. Since I was telling my Dementor's kiss story, I missed some of Amy's comments. That's what I call it, by the way. When I tell my friends that story, I tell them it's called the curse of the Dementor's kiss. And
That's a good description, actually. That's really good.
Yep, he was trying to
that
suck
fit
the life
perfectly.
out of my face. Yep, suck out my
He was
soul.
gonna suck your soul right out of your face.
Yes. Ugh, with its smelly spit all over me. Wow. Oh, let's see. Okay, back in action. Let's look at some comments. So Amy says I took it as Abby realizing how much buildup by Lucy was crazy. Yeah, that's true. I think so too. Like I think she kind of realized that there was just a miscommunication between her friend and her brother. And
Well, what I thought Lucy's whole purpose at the beginning, I was thinking Lucy did this intentionally to set them up.
Mhm.
And that's why she was like,
Mhm.
oh, my brother is this villain. You have to go rescue my grandma. And so
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, she's just saying that to set them up. But then once Lucy comes to Holiday House, whatever the name of the place was, or Silver Bells, Colorado, like she
Yeah.
didn't. I don't remember her saying anything like, "Ooh, my plan worked." I
Yeah.
knew you two would hit it off. So that's what I thought she was doing. I thought she was trying to make it sound really bad so that Lucy would come, and it was just like her ruse to get them together.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what it did feel like at first. But then I honestly do think she thought that that's what her brother was trying to do, was to get, like, to sell the house and get. I just, that part of it I kind of wish had been talked about more. That maybe that would have made it feel more realistic, is if like Abby had called Lucy and was like, he really doesn't seem like he's trying to do that, and Lucy like maybe trying to convince her that yeah, he's trying to run the show, and you just don't know him, and he's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. See,
I did like.
I think that's what was needed in the story.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it just could have been like developed more, I guess. Um, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and
Lucy
see,
was.
Winnie, I could tell Winnie was trying to get them into
Mhm.
into situations where they would be together. So I
Yeah.
appreciated that about Winnie. I like that
Mhm.
she seemed to be the only character, or not the only one, but she seemed to know what she wanted. She's like, I'm gonna make this happen.
Yeah. I did like the Winnie character. I liked Lucy and Jose's side story. I did
Yes.
like that because really a lot. Well, at least in the romances that I've seen, you don't often get like a secondary romance,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did kind of like that. That there was the enemies to lovers. That was the main plot, but was a little bit so. But then you got the like second chance romance with Lucy and Jose, and I
Yeah.
actually liked that. I'd like to see that one. I would have liked to see brought more to the forefront.
Yeah, and I think I messaged you and told you I was actually a lot more interested, a lot more invested in what was going to happen with Jose and Lucy. That one just sounded a little bit more, um, just interesting to me, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
So
it did bug me how much Lucy was just like, no, I, I've been hurt. I don't know how to love. I don't know how to love. It's like, well, give it a chance. Give it a chance. Like you've got this guy who's saying, no, I want to be in a committed relationship. I want to be. I don't want to just, you know, I don't want this to be disposable. I want to be in a committed relationship, like which is what so many women want. And you've got
yeah,
this guy practically begging you, and you're like, no, I've been hurt. I don't believe in true love. I don't believe in commitment. I messed up. And I don't know, maybe she will be. Maybe, a few years down the line we'll find out that, she does have some issues, so they'll need to go to therapy, but it's like, give it a
yeah. I
chance.
would like to see yeah, I would like to see a continuation of their relationship. I think that would be fun. But yeah, I
I
mean, I
was
can kind of
actually
see. Good.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was actually wondering if there was a sequel and if the sequel would be Lucy and Jose's story, because that's kind of what it seemed like she was doing in a way. Although, I mean, in a way, I guess we got closure, because usually when there's going to be a sequel, the author will introduce the two, like, supporting characters, and she'll kind of delve a little into their story, but it's not wrapped up until book 2. So that's kind of what I thought the author was doing. So do you know if there's a book 2, and if
I don't. I'll have to talk to Sarah from the Bookish Knitter because she's the one that recommended this book to me. So she probably knows because she really likes RaeAnne Thayne. So I'll have to ask her if there's a Lucy and Jose follow-up story. Because that would be, I would like to see that. And Amy was saying she liked the self-actualization when she said, if I were a man in this situation, I would be considered a jerk. And I'm assuming you're talking about Lucy and Jose, if she had been a man saying she didn't want him, that they would just be like, why doesn't she want? Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that like a guy is more normally just wanting a one night stand kind of a thing. But if a girl does that, she's weird, you know. And if she's just wanting the physical side of it, or she doesn't want the marriage part, like the normal gender roles there are flipped. And yeah, that's what she was talking about when Lucy is saying all she wanted was sex. And yeah, that's true. Like, a girl, if a guy said that to a girl, normally it would be like, oh, he's perverted, or he's a jerk or whatever. But which, I mean, for me and my thought process, I would still think that. but um, but yeah, I can see that being weird, for a girl to want that, and and people not really understanding. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one thing to want, I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you want. If you don't want a commitment, you just want, you know, the sex. Um, then maybe that's where, like, she should have, and I don't know, maybe she was, but maybe she should just, or maybe Jose was the one in the wrong. Maybe Jose, she should have been like, Jose, stop bothering me. You're bothering me. Go away. I can get what I want from somebody else. So maybe Jose's the one who was in the wrong. Maybe Jose was like like a dog with a
He did
bone, and
go
it's
away.
just like, Jose, stop. You're being too needy,
Yeah.
Jose.
But you know what? He did go away, and he started dating that other girl.
He
So,
did.
yeah. So
And that's when Lucy
feel like
was like,
yeah. Let's see. Something really stupid that bugged me is that Christopher, or the Pluto, didn't they put that back on the planet list? I thought that
dwarf planet.
Oh,
Dwarf planet.
Yeah. When was this book written, though? Was it? I didn't even look to see when it was written.
Oh, I have my
'Cause
copy
maybe
right
it
here.
was-
Let me see if I can.
Because I can see if it was written prior to 2006. Oh,
Copyright 2020.
2020.
It was written in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so she
Apparently
should have
she
gotten
did
like
do her
a somebody science minded to check her work.
Yeah.
Her work.
Although I wouldn't have noticed that because in my head, I still think of it as a planet. So, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
RaeAnne
I
is
knew.
probably older. So,
Yeah. Well, Rainey, do you want to talk about the book we're going to read for August? The book we'll be discussing in August?
Yes. Go for it.
Okay. So the book we're going to be reading and discussing for August is going to be book 1 in a series, and also it is steamy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready for it. I'm okay with it.
Okay. So book 1 in the Fitzhugh series by Sherry Thomas. It is Beguiling the Beauty, and this is steamy. So if you're not a fan of too much steam, if you like closed door romances, this may not be the one for you. But I can say Sherry Thomas is one of the best romance writers. Like, not only are her stories compelling, but her writing is beautiful. Like, she's one of when you think of annotating and writing down beautiful phrases, beautiful paragraphs from a book, you don't always think of romance writers, or as romance. You don't always think of doing that with romance books. But Sherry Thomas has such a beautiful turn of phrase. The writing is just magnificent. Now, I've never read this. I've read book 2. Book 2 is Ravishing the Heiress, which is my all-time favorite romance novel.
Okay, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Beguiling the Heiress.
All right. And we are tentatively going to have this on the August 8th. Tentatively.
8th.
Yeah. It might depend on a couple of personal things that we have going on, but we will confirm that closer to the date. It's either going to be the 8th or maybe the weekend after. So.
Yeah. So around the 8th.
Yeah. So. Hey. Well,
yes, she does, Amy.
What's that?
What's it? Oh, Amy said
Oh.
she writes the Lady Sherlock books. She does. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yay. So I don't know if anybody else can hear it, but I am hearing fuzziness on my end. So this probably is a good place to stop because I'm hearing like a lot of static, which is tends to happen on my channel for some reason. I don't know why. So, but we will put everything on Instagram about the book and everything if you want to check that out. And yeah, I think that's it. Do we have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll talk to you next month. Bye.